Harry wanted a better security deal in his eyes from the UK. Do you think our country has handled this member of the royal family well?
Well, I'm a little biased. I don't know. And I mean that. I quite literally haven't paid enough attention to how your country has handled it. I will say this, they're proud residents, and I'm proud they're residents of California. And I've gotten to know them. And you talk about those wildfires, I just want you to know, without any fanfare, one of the first volunteers that I saw within hours of the fires was Prince Harry and his wife, and that was a point of pride. They didn't need to be there, and it's not the first time. I've had dozen experiences, and by the way, I'm not exaggerating, 10, 11 experiences similar where the Prince and Meghan have shown up. So that's all I can add to the conversation.
What were they doing in the firefighting crisis?
They were doing two things. They were showing up for first responders, of which they have a unique connection, and I see that in terms of the rapport. And they were also showing up for the community without being asked. They were there handing out materials and supplies, asking if they can get involved in the food banks and distribution of emergency supplies. I saw that in floods down in Santa Barbara. I saw that in other fires that got less attention in the past. I've had the Prince reach out to me on other causes asking, how can I get involved in a way that doesn't generate all the attention? And that to me is a character test. That's my direct interaction. All the rest, I leave all that noise to others.
Welcome back, squaddies. Today, Governor Gavin Newsom has stepped forward to publicly recognise and praise Prince Harry and Meghan Markle for their authentic and meaningful humanitarian work, standing as yet another American leader who has witnessed firsthand the couple's genuine commitment to serving their community and helping the vulnerable. Unlike the relentless negativity that plagues British tabloids and media outlets, which seem obsessed with manufacturing controversy and spreading falsehoods about the Sussexes, Newsom's words carry the weight of truth and personal observation, demonstrating that the couple's charitable endeavours are not about seeking spotlight or attention, but rather about real compassion, substance, and dedicated service to those in need. The Governor's public endorsement serves as a powerful counterpoint to the toxic narratives perpetuated across the UK, proving that when people look beyond the sensationalism and actually examine Harry and Meghan's actions, they find a couple whose lives are defined by meaningful contributions, community engagement, and unwavering humanitarian dedication. Newsom, a busy and influential political figure with far more pressing matters demanding his attention, would not take the time to speak on behalf of the Sussexes unless their work was genuinely commendable and their character truly worthy of such recognition, further validating what America has come to understand. That Harry and Meghan's deeds speak louder than any words their critics could ever utter. Governor Newsom's public support for the Sussexes' humanitarian legacy. Governor Gavin Newsom has not shied away from publicly celebrating Prince Harry and Meghan's unwavering commitment to charitable work and their genuine compassion for vulnerable communities across America, standing firmly in their corner when baseless accusations threaten to overshadow their meaningful contributions. When a non-profit tax matter arose, a mere administrative glitch that had nothing whatsoever to do with the Sussexes themselves, Newsom swiftly held a press conference to set the record straight, making abundantly clear that this was nothing more than a bureaucratic error, not any wrongdoing on their part. What speaks volumes is that Newsom is far from alone in his assessment. Multiple American governors have stepped forward to testify to the authenticity and substance of Harry and Meghan's humanitarian endeavours, confirming through their own observations that the couple's dedication to service and charitable work is genuine, heartfelt, and driven by real compassion rather than any desire for spotlight or self-promotion. These leaders understand that actions speak infinitely louder than words, and the Sussexes' consistent presence, engagement, and active participation in bettering communities without fanfare or media entourage demonstrates a level of commitment that transcends mere celebrity posturing. Governor Newsom and his fellow governors recognise what should be evident to all, that the Sussexes' work is rooted in universal service and authentic human decency. Harry and Meghan's community impact. In Montecito, California, and throughout the United States, Prince Harry and Meghan are deeply loved and respected for their unwavering commitment to humanitarian causes and community service. What truly sets them apart is their dedication to charitable work that operates far from the glare of media attention. They do not seek the spotlight for their actions, but rather allow their deeds to speak volumes about their character and genuine compassion. Governor Gavin Newsom himself has testified to the authenticity of their efforts, recognizing that their contributions to the community stem from real humanity and sincere dedication to helping the vulnerable, not from a desire for recognition or praise. Unlike the relentless media scrutiny they faced in the United Kingdom, the Sussexes have found in America a place where their actions are acknowledged for what they truly are. The heartfelt work of two individuals who have devoted themselves to making a tangible difference in the lives of those in need. Their presence in the community, their active engagement, and their substantial humanitarian contributions demonstrate that service is universal, transcending borders and proving that their legacy rests not on words, but on the transformative impact of their compassionate work. American recognition of the Sussexes' humanitarian impact. The truth is undeniable. Americans have embraced Prince Harry and Meghan with open arms, recognizing the genuine charitable contributions they bring to their communities. Governor Gavin Newsom himself has publicly praised their humanitarian efforts, understanding what many in the UK refuse to acknowledge, that the Sussexes are driven by compassion, not spotlight-seeking. Americans do not harbour the same hatred that plagues British tabloids. Instead, they forgive, they move forward, and they see people for their actions rather than their origins. Canada, too, has welcomed them without prejudice, appreciating the value they bring to North America. The Sussexes have found acceptance in the United States because Americans recognize that their charitable work speaks louder than any tabloid fabrication. Their service to vulnerable communities is real, their dedication is authentic, and their presence makes a tangible difference. While the UK media remains consumed with negativity and lies, America's governors and citizens celebrate what Harry and Meghan actually do, not what toxic tabloids claim they do. This continental divide in reception reveals everything about where true civility and compassion reside. The relentless British tabloid assault on the Sussexes. For more than 8 years, British tabloids have waged an unrelenting campaign of harassment against Prince Harry and Meghan, a sustained assault that has become nothing short of obsessive and deeply unhealthy. The media's fixation on Meghan in particular is grossly disproportionate. Day after day, week after week, year after year, these publications return to her name with an intensity that betrays something far darker than mere journalism. What makes this campaign truly contemptible is not simply the relentlessness of it, but the nature of the content itself. The tabloids have consistently filled their pages with lies, fabrications, and wild conspiracy theories, presenting fiction as fact without shame or accountability. These aren't honest criticisms or legitimate reporting. They are deliberate falsehoods designed to damage, to wound, to destroy. It is a coordinated effort that speaks volumes about a media establishment willing to abandon all standards of truth and decency in pursuit of sensationalism and profit. The contrast couldn't be starker. While governors and leaders across America recognize the genuine humanitarian work and goodness of the Sussexes, the British press continues its poisonous narrative, seemingly incapable of speaking anything but lies about two people whose only offence appears to be their refusal to bow to the system's demands. The monarchy's complicity in a campaign of hate. The evidence is undeniable and deeply troubling. The British monarchy stands allegedly at the centre of this relentless harassment campaign against the Sussexes, their institutional power weaponised to fuel the flames of racism and bullying that have consumed the nation for years now. Royal family support for the negative media coverage has been the very oxygen that keeps this toxic fire burning, enabling tabloids and haters to continue their vicious attacks without consequence or accountability. What began as isolated incidents has transformed into a systematic, coordinated assault, one that simply could not persist without the tacit approval and active enablement of those at the highest levels of the institution itself. This institutional involvement, this royal endorsement of hatred masquerading as concern, has created a vicious cycle where the monarchy's silence becomes complicity, where their failure to condemn becomes permission, and where the most powerful voices in the nation remain conspicuously quiet while their subjects wage war through words and lies. The prolonged nature of this campaign, 8 years and counting, extending into 2026, cannot be explained by coincidence or organic public sentiment. It can only be understood as the direct result of institutional support that legitimizes the hatred, that sanitizes the racism, and that allows this madness to persist unchecked while the rest of the civilized world watches in horror and disbelief. British media's deliberate distortion of the Sussexes' charitable legacy. The UK tabloids have made a calculated choice to deliberately misrepresent the Sussexes' charitable work, twisting their genuine humanitarian efforts into false narratives designed to undermine their character and legacy. Year after year, these outlets have spun lies about Harry and Meghan's charitable endeavours, refusing to acknowledge the real impact they make in communities across America and beyond. Yet, when Governor Newsom and other prominent American leaders speak truth about the couple's authentic compassion and dedication to helping the vulnerable, the British media conveniently ignores these testimonies or attempts to find negative angles where none exist. It is no wonder that the Sussexes have deliberately excluded British media outlets from their charitable activities and community work. These journalists have proven themselves to be untrustworthy, openly spreading hatred on television and in print without shame or restraint, showing a level of vitriol that would be unacceptable in any civilized society. The fact that these so-called professionals openly do this on air and in newspapers says everything one needs to know about the British media's true nature. They are not interested in facts or fairness, but rather in perpetuating a narrative of destruction against two people who simply want to serve humanity with love and integrity. Actions speak louder than words. Harry and Meghan's unwavering commitment to their humanitarian mission is evident not in grand gestures designed for camera crews or orchestrated media moments, but in the quiet, consistent work they do within their community and beyond. They do not need the validation of tabloid headlines or the amplification of sensational coverage to fuel their charitable endeavours. Their true character shines through the tangible difference they make in people's lives day after day without the trappings of publicity. Governor Newsom and countless others have witnessed firsthand that their deeds, not their words, tell the real story. A couple genuinely dedicated to service, compassion, and uplift, proving through action what no media narrative could ever diminish or distort. Their work speaks volumes precisely because it is not performed for the spotlight, but rather emerges from the authentic place of wanting to help the vulnerable and contribute meaningfully to their communities. The troubling reality of British media's obsession with the Sussexes. The relentless fixation on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle by British tabloids and media outlets reveals far more than simple celebrity gossip. It exposes the systemic racism and prejudice deeply embedded within UK journalism and society itself. Year after year, the same outlets that claim to represent British values continue to manufacture outrage, spread lies, and perpetuate harmful narratives about the Sussexes, while ignoring the genuine humanitarian work they accomplish in America and beyond. This behaviour is not merely damaging to the individuals targeted. It reflects a broader cultural sickness within the nation, one that international observers like Governor Gavin Newsom can clearly see from the outside. When American leaders, Canadian citizens, and people from communities around the world witness the viciousness of British media's attacks, they see a country consumed by prejudice, rather than one guided by civility and justice. The global reputation of Britain suffers immensely when its tabloids, television personalities, and alleged institutional powers dedicate themselves to such relentless character assassination, revealing to the world that racism and vindictiveness remain disturbingly prevalent in a nation that often presents itself as a beacon of democracy and decency. What should shame every thoughtful British citizen is that while governors and leaders abroad speak to the genuine compassion of Harry and Meghan's work, the UK media responds not with reflection or accountability, but with doubled efforts to discredit and demean. A toxic cycle that broadcasts to the entire world the true nature of British prejudice. The stark divide. How America celebrates. What Britain denied. The charitable work that Harry and Meghan devoted themselves to was systematically discouraged and grievously misrepresented throughout their time in the United Kingdom. Yet, the moment they stepped onto American soil, their humanitarian efforts found themselves not only welcomed, but actively celebrated and championed by government officials like Governor Gavin Newsom himself. This stark contrast reveals a fundamental difference in cultural attitudes. Where Britain's tabloids twisted their compassion into scandal and painted their diversity efforts as performative, America recognized the genuine substance behind their actions and stood firmly in support of their mission. The difference is not merely in the applause or the press coverage, but in something far deeper. It speaks to how societies choose to respond to those who dedicate themselves to helping the vulnerable and marginalised. While the UK media worked overtime to misrepresent every initiative, every appearance, every genuine moment of service as calculated and self-serving, American leaders and communities saw them for what they truly were. Individuals moved by real humanity and authentic compassion, working tirelessly to make a tangible difference. This disparity between nations underscores a troubling truth about where hatred and division take root, and where compassion and understanding flourish instead. Divine protection and blessing. God's hand upon the Sussexes. Many devoted followers of Harry and Meghan firmly believe that God protects and guides the Sussexes through the relentless challenges they face, shielding them from the hatred, lies, and malicious attacks that pour forth from the UK tabloids and their enablers. Their continued success and meaningful work in humanitarian endeavours, despite the opposition and venom directed at them, stands as undeniable spiritual affirmation that the Lord is indeed on their side and walking with them through every trial. As we move in, so deeply embedded in its institutions and discourse.